Hey YouTube, it's Jurak Master, and this is going to be a quick video on my new Jurak side deck. This is for the Chaos Jurak deck, and it seems like it's going to work a lot better than the old one, especially with what I see at my locals, and what I think most of you guys out there might see. And it works better in combination with Chaos Juraks themselves than the old one did. So with that being said, I'm going to get right into it. So hang on while I switch that. Alright, so I still have my two Shadow Imprisoning Mirrors. Depending on how well they work, I might bump it up to 3, I don't know. So these are obviously for decks like Dark Worlds, where you don't want their graveyard effects going off. Very good against them, just need to protect it. So that's basically it. I mean, Darks don't like it, but mainly Dark Worlds. Next up, 2 Dark Bribes. I'm sad they're not hollow. I'll work on that, guys. So if I continue to use Dark Bribes, especially if I main deck them, I'll hollow them out, but that's just a little side note. But Dark Bribe, it protects other stuff that you have, like your Shadow Imprisoning Mirrors. So if you side in a lot of back row stuff like that, it stops field spells from going off. So Gravekeepers, I've had trouble with them using their, their attack boost. That's just annoying. And I guess it works against Dark Worlds. Whatever you need it to work against, it does a good job. And I think it works generically against a lot of things. I'm thinking about trying to work them into my main deck. I don't know yet. So if I do that, I'll update you guys on it. Next up is another change. I've bumped Leeching the Light up to 3, mainly because the whole getting over their big attackers is still a problem, especially if they Christia. So I have to manage that pretty well, and lights, they're kind of problematic. So this would just benefit you tremendously facing something like Agents or Lightsworn with their Judgment Dragons. Whatever it is, this can help you. So that's mainly why it's at 3. Pretty much my only side for Agents. I have one other. That's the Kaikus. So a very helpful card. I think it's important enough to put it 3, which I don't usually do with a side deck card. And I'm thinking about doing that with Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, so you can see how annoying these decks are to face. And still have the 2 Mystical Space Typhoons. They're there for destroying cards that are there that are a pain to you, like the Dark World Field Spell, whatever it is that annoys you, really. Just gotta side it in smart, but I think that I do need the extra destructive power. I was thinking about putting the Lilas in here instead, but I decided against the milling aspect and the fact that I don't need more monsters. But the Lila thought process was the fact that they're light monsters, and I can't search my light monsters, but I can search the dark monsters. So that works for the chaos aspect, but I decided against it. MST is just better for me. Then I still have the 2 Consecrateds. These almost came out, but I decided to keep them in, mainly because they work really well against stuff like Gravekeepers. They're good against Dark Worlds, especially because a lot of Dark World decks will only run their Darks. A lot of them will have Fabled Raven or whatever, and that's a light, so you have to watch out for that. But it shouldn't be a problem. And Consecrated Light's just really helpful, even if it doesn't do its job for very long. Even just messing them up for a turn or 2 is just really great. This, in combination with Shadow Imprisoning Mirror and maybe a Solemn Judgment, is just like a death sentence to Dark Worlds. And those are slightly problematic. They're not as bad as I would have thought, but still pretty problematic. Next up is another change to my side deck. 2 Banisher of the Radiance. These guys are just really helpful because of their removal effect and their lights. So when they get removed from the field, they'll go to the graveyard, but everything else will get removed from play when they're still on the field. So it helps against also against Gravekeeper. Why do I keep saying that? helps against Dark Worlds, and it helps do a lot of other things. It's just kind of the macro aspect of the side deck, and I think it works pretty well. It's another light for the graveyard, and that's pretty nice as well. Not too bad on attack, 100 less than my Jirax, so it's useful. And finally, I have the two Kaikus. Sad, they're also not hollow. They're pretty helpful. They're good against agents. They're another dark monster, so you've noticed my side deck has light and dark monsters in it. I tried to do that intentionally, but just so happens that light and dark monsters are nice to side as well, so these things cover the few weak spots of the rest of my side, not to mention they're an 1800 dark beater. So, the effect, very helpful, all that kind of stuff. Oh, I forgot to mention, on Banishers, they are level 3, so I can make my Levier pretty easy with it. So back to the Kaikus, they do the whole removing thing against agents if you can clear the agent field and remove from play their targets for summoning like Hyperion or summoning their Christia or just destroying with Hyperion, somehow like that. So if they just have fairies in the graveyard in general, you probably want to remove it. So that was a bit longer of a video than I had originally planned, but I hope that gives you guys a little bit of insight into my decision making behind the side deck. And I mean, it's a time for you guys to get to see my new side deck because I haven't put that up yet. And you know, I hope it helped you guys, and I hope you guys can see how this is a side deck that should work pretty well this format. The rest of the decks, things I didn't cover, just real quick. Stuff like Tengu plants. These 4 are going to be helpful against those. Oh, I forgot I switched the camera back. Wow. Those 4 are going to be helpful against them, the 2 Kaikus and the 2 Banishers. Stuff like that. That's why I took out the Gozen matches and the rivalries, because they were just taking up room I needed for other cards, and I could work without them. So, you know, kind of covering as many decks as possible, and with as few cards as possible. So I hope this helped you guys. Sorry it was longer than I expected, and I hope it helped. I keep saying that, wow. So before I keep repeating myself even more, have a nice day, YouTube.